Okay, instead of reading any further now, as far as, the whole thing of these chapters, I'm going to show you some symbolism that's going to connect us to this pyramid and these fallen beings, and it's just going to be right in your face. And I want to also show you that we're right on track with our fractal diagram here, with everything that we've talked about thus far. But before we do, I do want you to see that what we are reading, and I'm going to skip one page here. Now, you might think that this part is related to what we're talking about, but it's really this part. Then I looked and turned myself to another part of the earth, where I beheld a deep valley burning with fire. Now, this is going to be a further description of what we read in Ezekiel chapter 19, describing that these predatory lions, these fallen sons, were going to be brought to the land of Egypt in chains. Okay, we'll get into more of that in detail later, but this is going to be the description. This is going to be the further description of Ezekiel chapter 19, and this is going to give us all of the information that's going to tie us up to the description of this being the Nile Valley, where the Great Pyramid of Giza sits. And it's going to be right on down to the hurled stones. Of course, these carved stones, these worked, wrought stones, these hurled stones. And I had to look real far in the thesaurus that brought me from hurled, and eventually I was able to get to engraved, carved. And of course, we know those stones are all hand worked, in other words, hand carved. So that's this being overwhelmed with these hurled stones. This is in relationship to the stones that are over top of them, the massive stones known as the Great Pyramid of Giza. And of course, they're being kept in crystal, which is not necessarily stone, but you could almost confuse yourself and want to think that, but yet we're talking about two separate things here. So they're being held in crystal beneath these hurled stones. We'll get into that. Before we do, what I want to do is I want to show you and get you to remember something real quick, what we were talking about originally with our diagram here. And I want you to see that our diagram, our fractal, is right on track for the cycles of this macro birthing sequence. Is going to be the very same cycles that we're seeing, that were depicted in Genesis and Enoch, that had everything to do with those 7 separate 70 generation cycles, or other words, 7 separate world age cycles. And that's exactly what we just got done talking about. So remember, from the Eden event, the timing of Eden was supposed to take place 7 separate cycles until our time now. Well, that's exactly what we're looking at right here. This is going to be 1. This is the introduction of the serpent into the garden. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And this is going to be the actual birthing of this being into a material form for a short period of time. Well, that's exactly the same cyclic reference that we just saw referenced in Enoch with the 70 generations, and then of course in Genesis further clarified as also being a 7-fold, happening 7 separate times. In this instance, you just see it as a metamorphosis. From each stage, they are pushing further to get to this point of their birth, of their fallen being. So at each one of these stages, they are trying to, in a sense, metamorphosize this cellular division to create their being here, their being into a material form, their God. And this being is going to fulfill himself in the flesh. And I'm telling you, people are going to be startled, man, but it's going to happen. This guy is going to appear, and like I said, he is going to appear in a way that people aren't prepared. He's going to be a lot that people don't expect. I'll be back.